UFOs, Bigfoot, the Bermuda Triangle, the Denver airport with the secret tunnels, weird murals with the disturbing imagery, Walt Disney being frozen underground. All of these are conspiracies that I kind of believe in, I kind of don't. A conspiracy by definition is a plot or a secret plan between two parties to do something unlawful. Conspiracies are sometimes real. The Watergate break-in is a good example of a political conspiracy that actually happened. I want to talk about some conspiracies that may or may not be true in the hip-hop world that actually kind of bother me a little bit. These conspiracies actually kind of keep me up at night, and sometimes I wonder if the merit that they hold is solid. These are unnerving rap conspiracies.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, what's your name?
Hi, this is Audrey.
Audrey, where are you calling from?
From Indianapolis.
From Minneapolis. What's your question?
My question is for everyone on the panel is, do you sometimes feel that you can't always say what you want to say, that you have to be censored?
Is that a problem for anybody?
Let me let y'all know how I feel. To me, it's like everybody's scared of the government, you know what I'm saying? Because they killed Tupac and they killed Biggie Smalls. I don't care what y'all say. That's my seeing.
Wasn't the real. You know what I'm saying? Bottom line.
The government brainwash our people with the mind control theory. That's what they do. So to make sure our people like it, they keep playing that same song.
Russell Tyrone Jones, also known as Old Dirty Bastard, was a founding member of one of the biggest rap collectives of all time, Wu-Tang Clan, residing mostly in Staten Island, New York. At the age of 26, his first album, Return to the 36 Chambers, featured two huge hits, Brooklyn Zoo and Shimmy Shimmy Yeah. The album would go platinum, and he was even still collecting food stamps this year because he had not filed his taxes. The album would be nominated as Best Rap Album in 1996, but he would lose to Naughty by Nature with their album Poverty's Paradise. ODB was on top of the game at this point, and he was actually having a very solid run, especially being a member of Wu-Tang Clan at their peak, which at this point was also massive. In 1993, ODB's first run-in with the law would be by chance, as he was convicted of second-degree assault for an attempted robbery, and in 1994, he was shot in the abdomen by another rapper, but he would survive this. ODB's legal issues definitely do not end here, but we'll come back to that later. During 1995, close friends and family would say that he became more erratic and unhinged, almost like he was becoming a different person. It was revealed eventually down the road that he was suffering from bipolar disorder as well as doing meth. The FBI was building a massive case against Wu-Tang Clan, which ODB was a part of at this point, but they seemed to be particularly focused on ODB himself, as he would say in an interview, "I came out of my crib at 2 in the morning and two niggas drove off in a car parked near the street I was on. Shit was scary." Now the term gang stalking has a number of meanings, but I think in this case it could be because he was literally getting stalked and harassed by numerous people. This would later be confirmed because the FBI would actually release their file on Old Dirty Bastard in 2012, which revealed a plethora of vital information as to why they were stalking him. The file was 93 pages long and had really crazy, insane information. According to this file, ODB was arrested more than 15 times on charges that range from resisting arrest to injuring a child, as well as assault, attempted murder of a police officer, refusing to pay child support, and the illegal possession of body armor. It also connected him to at least 2 murders, but also describes occasions that ODB was robbed at gunpoint in his own home. Quote, "There was an indication that the robbers were current or former music industry insiders who had banded together to commit the robberies," an officer explained. Furthermore, Wu-Tang Clan were literally portrayed as a criminal organization, coordinating drug deals and homicides, sometimes with musical rewards. Once individuals have proved themselves as good and loyal members, officers claimed, they were offered record contracts to record rap-type music, quote unquote. In 2000, Wu-Tang Clan were apparently under investigation by NYPD's Violent Crimes/Gang Squad, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the Staten Island Detectives Unit. The scariest part about all of this is, to be completely honest, ODB was gang stalked. These files have literal admissions that they would follow him at times to see his schedule and learn his pattern. In theory, all those times where he would say the government is stalking me and trying to kill me were actually correct. Now, as far as him being killed by the government, I think that's a bit of a stretch, as by this point, he was taking heavy drugs and almost consistently not sober on a daily basis. He would pass away at the age of 35 from a drug overdose when he collapsed inside of RZA's recording studio. An autopsy done on him found a lethal mixture of cocaine and tramadol in his system. The overdose was ruled as an accident, and witnesses will later say he complained of chest pain earlier the day he passed away. This just bothers me a little bit because could you imagine going around doing your regular tasks, going to work, going to school, doing whatever you gotta do, and you keep looking over your shoulder because you feel like you're being followed but you have no idea why? It's a terrifying thought, and that's what happened to Old Dirty Bastard. Rest in peace, the ODB. 2021 was a very, very wild year. The government confirmed that UFOs are real and that some of the strange sightings of UFOs over the last century are real. People stormed the United States Capitol, resulting in deaths. R. Kelly was finally found guilty of the insane charges that I can absolutely not talk about, thank God. But in my opinion, none of that tops the Astroworld 2021 tragedy. There's a lot of weird and unsettling information about this festival, so I'm going to try and go in chronological order. May 6th, 2021, tickets would go on sale for the Astroworld Festival that year, and all 100,000 tickets would sell out within the first hour. Travis Scott's fan base is absolutely massive, so this wasn't even a surprise. People were so excited for this because you had Bad Bunny, Chief Keef, 21 Savage, Lil Baby, Sofago, and many more people that were supposed to perform over the course of 2 days. Now, before I get into all the weird things, I just want to say I in no way, shape, or form believe in demons and all of that satanic stuff, but it is unsettling to say the least. I want to point out the fact that the flyer of the festival was already a bit unsettling in hindsight. I mean, look at this. What the hell was even supposed to be the message behind this flyer? The eyes on the hands? The people getting sucked into a portal? It's weird. But we gotta move on. Friday, November 5th, as early as 10 a.m. in the morning, people were already injured because people were rushing the gates and a lot of people were pushing their way inside to this event. There were hundreds of people that were rushing the barricades, even as far as using bolt cutters to get inside without paying for tickets. At this point, there were way too many people that were inside, and there were already reports of people being passed out with no medical attendants in sight during Don Toliver's set. I do want to mention that this was the stage for the festival. I mean, all I'm saying is that this looks terrifying. Like, it's an upside down cross, there's a portal. Look, like I said, I don't believe in, you know what, fuck it, never mind. Within minutes of Travis Scott coming on stage, the overcrowding became extremely dangerous. People would begin to push to the front of the stage, resulting in a dangerous crush. To put it in perspective, imagine you're up against a wall and you have 50 people that are right behind you and you try to move backwards, you wouldn't even be able to move. If you raised your hands up, you probably wouldn't even be able to take them back down. Keep in mind also that these 50 people that are behind you are also trying to move forward while you're trying to move back. This can cause asphyxiation, broken bones, and even death. Around 9:30 at night, paramedics on scene became quickly overwhelmed because they weren't equipped to handle the amount of people who needed attention. This is a nightmare scenario.
I asked the security guard, I said, have you checked the pulse on this man? He said, I don't know how to do that. He's like, please help. So I checked the pulse. I did not feel a pulse. His eyes were rolled in the back of his head. His pupils weren't reacting. I shined my flashlight in there. I said, do not drop him off here to go get someone else. You need to go take this man to the medical tent. Take him somewhere. Go. I saw 3 people laid out on the ground and maybe 4 medics doing CPR on 3 people. One of them was Blue, the guy that looked the worst. I ran over to the medic and I said, do you have an AED? Do you have an ambu bag? What do we have? How long have you been doing concussions? I just started asking her questions. She said, I don't know. I said, has anybody relieved you from concussions? She's like, no. There were other civilians trying to...
There are a lot of angles to what may have caused people to pass away for this disaster, but the weird thing is that people wouldn't even talk about the deaths themselves as much as they would talk about the fact that the festival felt demonic. People were literally begging for help and screaming at the top of their lungs. Travis Scott would be on an elevated raising platform performing while pyrotechnics would go off behind him, really creating the hell scenario. There is a video that I can definitely not show where Travis Scott is doing this weird eerie chant, staring down at a person who just died in front of him while being carried out. The video isn't hard to find, but like I said, I can't show it here. At this point, people were dying in front of him, but the music just kept going. This painting, which is a depiction of hell on earth, has eerie similarities to the stage and the place you would walk into the festival. The whole whole situation was a nightmare, and with all the demonic imagery, I completely understand why satanic panic became a huge factor into the aftermath of this tragic event. People believe that Travis Scott sold his soul and that the devil told him that this festival he had to sacrifice at least 9 people. Now, like I said, I don't believe in any of this shit, but I do think that with all the imagery, it's really unsettling. Unfortunately, you can't stop people from twisting the narrative into the way they want to see it, but either way, rest in peace to those people that passed away. Hip-hop is an interesting genre of music because sometimes the most praised bodies of work are the most violent and disturbing songs imaginable. Take, for example, Murder on My Mind by YNW Melly. This song's music video has 500 million views on YouTube, and the song is quite literally about murder on YNW Melly's mind. Now, not all of hip-hop is like this. In fact, looking at it that way would just be ignorant, as there's so many different forms of rap, right? But for a while, especially the 80s and 90s, that's how hip-hop was viewed as a whole. During the 90s, most old heads will tell you that what was on top of the game at the time was a huge war between the East Coast and the West Coast. But while that was going on, the South was in the back seat establishing themselves, especially Memphis, Tennessee, taking it to a whole nother level. Tommy Wright III, 3 6 Mafia, Al Capone, and many other artists from the South used dark and disturbing lyrics to create an overall haunting vibe to their songs. Many of this horror imagery was coinciding heavily with the way life was in Memphis at the time, being that in the 90s, it was one of the biggest murder capitals in the country. So how did we get to the occult and frankly paranormal aspect of rap sigils? Well, there are 8 supposed tapes that are actual sigils, said to literally be cursed, soaked in the blood of those who were ritualistically sacrificed for the artist's power. In order to get into these 8 tapes, I'm gonna have to summarize the origin of why they're so gritty and the horror aesthetics, and where that begins are the West Memphis 3. These are 3 teenagers that were suspected of murdering 3 boys. Now, they were all released in 2011, but the murder of these boys were suspected to be some sort of satanic ritual. Now, the interesting thing is that while most people thought these 3 teenagers were satanic violent murderers, no real evidence was able to back it up, which is why they were ultimately released. Now, we'll come back to this in a bit. A rap sigil, basically summed up, is the idea of the artist/producers committing a murder, while as the location that it was committed would still have energy from the life that was taken. The creators of these tapes would use the energy of these victims and embed the energy onto these cassette tapes. If you're somehow still confused, just think of a sigil like a voodoo doll. It would be a physical object, and the steps to create one would go something like this. Step 1, murder somebody. Step 2, record it. Step 3, chop up the audio of the murder and then sample it. Step 4, return to the scene of the crime. Step 5, rap over the beat at the location. Step 6, put it on a mixtape. Step 7, sell the tape. Step 8, the more people listen to it, the more powerful you would become. Yes, it sounds like bullshit, but just keep listening. One of the 8 tapes in question is Children of the Corn's The Single Tape. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the creepiest bodies of work I've ever sat down and listened to. It's not even that the songs are that good either, they're just straight up disturbing. Like, what the hell is that? I think what makes it so unsettling is that the audio mixing is so low quality, and there's a lot of screaming in the background in most of the songs. Some of them sound uncomfortably real. One of the songs actually reuses a beat from Graveyard Productions called Devil Shit. And fun fact, SB sampled this song with their song Ramirez called VI, which in Roman numerals is 666. Anyway, the rest of the tapes in question are 10 Wanted Men's Wanted Dead or Alive, Maniacs, The World of a Psycho, Lil Ramsey's Going Undercover, HOH's Living in a Casket, Niggas of Destruction self-titled, Tiny Main's 1925, and Psycho's Return of a Psycho. Now, I can't go through each and every single tape because that would just take up so much of your time, and you probably just want to get into the conspiracies themselves, so let's do that. These apparent tapes don't work unless you have the actual physical copies, furthermore adding that you would have to collect all of them, sort of adding a satanic spin on collecting all the Chaos Emeralds in Sonic. If you want to try this for yourself, good luck, because the physical copies of these tapes are actually high in demand and pretty pricey since they didn't make that many of them. Some even go as far as to say that one of these groups that created these tapes are the ones that actually committed those murders of the 3 boys back in 1992, because they never actually caught the perpetrators. At the end of the day, there's no real proof that any of these artists were involved with sacrifices or murders. It just seems like most of these aesthetics were just that of aesthetics. Now, I do want to mention that Memphis rap is one of my favorite genres of music, which is probably why this section was a little bit longer than the other two. The most likely explanation is that the rap sigils are just based on the human tendency to take something unknown and reframe it to supernatural aspects. This demonic-like imagery always manifests itself in most hip-hop conspiracies, especially with the previously aforementioned Astral World tragedy. The concept of a demonic sacrifice is nothing new to music, whether you believe in the 27 Club or the story of Robert Johnson selling his soul to the devil. They're just conspiracies. If you made it this far though, I actually want to get into one thing that I purposefully left out until the end of the video because I thought it was the most interesting thing that I found. There is a video that came out in 2012 called the Koopsta Nika New World Order documentary. Koopsta Nika was a member of 3 6 Mafia, and according to Lord Infamous, he went to the same high school as DJ Paul and later Juicy J. He was featured on numerous 3 6 Mafia albums, but he left the group after the release of the album in 2000 due to his incarceration, which made him unable to make shows and videos. In addition, he would breach his contract with Sony. Anyway, I don't know if this was his channel or a random person's channel, but this documentary was pretty much just a long interview of him telling his story and growing through the rap game in the 90s. The documentary would also cover his theories on the New World Order and supernatural occult stuff. The clip I want to leave you with is where Coop recalls when they experienced something very weird while they were shooting the picture for the album cover Mystic Styles. Thank you for making it this far into the video, and let me know what conspiracies you think I should cover for part 2. And do not say shit about Tupac still being alive.
It was a lot of crazy shit going on. We went downtown to do an album cover for Mystic Styles. And you could know me, of course, I'm so with the shit. I got on the guy, this me on the cross. Just me, Paul Lord, and Juice. Well, Crunch on there, he wasn't there, he wasn't part of the group. You know, Boo hadn't been across yet, and all them other guys. While down there is a building, it's called a factory something, but right now it's on Riverside somewhere. All them houses up on Riverside and shit. It's a warehouse, we ran across some shit we weren't looking for. While at the same time we had 666, but then we realized there's some real shit going on. It was actually motherfuckers in this building with the little robes and shit on, little altar up on the motherfucking, looking in that motherfucker. So, you know, we got caught down there. They made us watch. So, you know, we leaving. Well, that was the second time. The first time police would put up like, Memphis police said, y'all shouldn't be down here. So that let me know right then it was some shit going on in this world, in this city by rich folks and politicians that's in this shit. And this shit is really serious. So